Time-traveling soul creates China's basketball GOAT. Please like, share and subscribe. Episode 11. Slightly inexperienced. Although the height of the other party is almost the same as his own, and his body looks better, but years of experience tell him that the age of the boy in front of him will never exceed 20 years old. In addition, he had heard a lot that there were all kinds of relationships within the Celestial dynasty, and he was more willing to believe that he was defeated by such relationships. Yes, it was because of relationship that he lost to the unknown boy. McDonald was even certain at this moment that the report in front of him was false. Damn people from the Celestial dynasty, it doesn't count for what they say. How can this make the big words I blew in my hometown so true? Damn boy, you stole the banknotes that belonged to me, a lot of my banknotes. In fact, McDonald can't help thinking like this, who made the Heavenly Dynasty with a population of more than 1 billion, only Yao Ming is the only one who really made a name for himself in the world basketball arena. And anyone else would never believe that an obscure Chinese youth would have a body comparable to Yao Ming talent. Mr. Donald, please be more respectful. We are a professional basketball club, and we will never play tricks. McDonald's words made Wu Bolan's anger unbearable. Chilled. As if he didn't see Wu Bolan's face, McDonald continued to be yin and yang. Hee, Miss Wu, height 212 centimeters, arms span 227, maximum bench press 115 kilograms. And then you told me that such data appeared in a 17-year-old boy. Do you think I should believe it? If I'm not afraid to offend you, even Yao Ming, the proud champion of the NBA, his static physical talent has never reached such a level. If your club insists on making fun of me, I will definitely make you regret it. You. Wu Bolan felt a little uncomfortable, and to be honest, she was a little shaken in her heart. Although McDonald's face was a little disgusting, he was right in saying some things. Zhelin's static talent. I am afraid that Dayo and Yi Jianlian are slightly inferior. After all, data is just data. Wu Bolan has never witnessed Wang Zhelin's physical examination process. Although she is willing to believe the authenticity of this data, she still retains the slightest doubt in her heart. Mr. Donald, right? Wang Zhelin took the ball and walked slowly between McDonald and Wu Bolan. You are Wang Zhelin. After speaking, he still remembered the two reports in Yang's hands. Zhelin, why are you here? Sister Bolan, since someone refuses to believe my strength, then I can only come over and personally verify it for him. Then Wang Zhelin turned his head and said very lightly, Mr. Donald, you and I are both basketball players. Talking about other things is false. Why don't we talk with the ball? Okay. McDonald couldn't believe that the pseudo-genius in his mind dared to challenge himself. But then his heart became very excited. Come on, I want to prove that you are a fake, shameless Chinese. Wang Zhelin's sudden invitation to the battle was beyond everyone's expectations, but after a little thought, he was quickly relieved. Young people, who is not angry? For Fan Bin and others, such a thing is not a bad thing. After all, competition will always make people improve, and they also want to see how Wang Zhelin's actual combat level is. It's like an exam. How many people are trying to make a difference in the mock exam, and the result is the best big exam, but their name is lost. Bolan, come here, let's see how Xiao Wang's actual combat ability is. Ma Lianbao, who had been watching for a long time, beckoned from Wu Bolan and called him to his side. Okay, Uncle Ma. As the former Fujian men's basketball coach, Ma Balian and Wu Bolan are naturally very familiar, and the latter has always maintained respect for Ma Balian. But now Wu Bolan wondered, why is this kid so good at English all of a sudden? Could it be that I haven't seen you for a while? Did I miss something interesting? I have to say that a woman's sixth sense is indeed accurate. Boy, how do you want to play? At this time, McDonald seemed a little anxious. It's very simple, let's play 10 goals 1 versus 1, and the attack time is 14 seconds, and the team who scores can continue to attack, see who scores 10 goals first, how? Wang Zhelin said cheerfully. No problem, but I have to attack first. After all, respect the old and love the young, but isn't it the fine tradition of your Chinese? Although McDonald would rather die than believe that this young man would have such physical qualities, he couldn't stand it. What the hell? Therefore, McDonald, who knew that he was a strong offensive player and a weak defensive player, wanted to get the first offensive ball very reluctantly. Whoever said that foreigners are upright, if you stand in front of me and say it again, try to see if I won't reward you with 2 big mouths. Row. After Wang Zhelin paused for a few seconds, he quickly accepted the other party's request. Except for his speed and mid-range shot, McDonald has no one ability that can compare to him, and even if he is stronger than himself, the two are limited. The chance of him winning is extremely small. Of course, it is not ruled out that the opponent's hand feels overwhelming and he makes 10 consecutive shots from the outside, but the probability of such a thing happening is no less than Zhou Qi's ability to make a good throw-in. Zhelin is a bit overwhelmed. As a father, Wang Changhai was the one who hoped Wang Zhelin would win the most. When you saw your family agreed to the other party's no-face request, it was inevitable that you would complain. Don't worry, old Wang Zhelin is a measured child. Lu Yudong's face was still cheerful, and those who didn't know thought he was Wang Zhelin's father. While everyone was chatting, Wang Zhelin and McDonald had already done their warm-up exercises, and the latter had already come beyond the three-point line. McDonald held the ball in his right hand, took a few steps inside and leaned against Wang Zhelin to start exerting force. Then he found that he couldn't stand against the opponent. How is it possible? This kid can't have such a strong power. McDonald quickly lowered his center of gravity, and then slammed into Wang Zhelin with a violent force from his back. This time, Wang Zhelin took a small step back after being hit. Although the difference in strength between the two was more than 10 points, the other party also had 51 upper body strength and 48 lower body strength. It was impossible to move at all. Yu reading www.yuukaongshu.com. It was this sudden collision that caused Wang Zhelin to lose his position. Although he quickly posted it back, McDermott still got the space to shoot and pulled it straight up. Shoo. Although the shot was a bit reluctant, it was still scored. 1 o'clock. After scoring the goal, McDonald yelled, "Come in, baby." In Chinese, it's probably San Yen, that's all. This ball was not defended, largely because of Wang Zhelin's experience. He used too much force when defending, and he didn't know how to score 7 points, leaving only 3 points. The former Wang Zhelin may not have won the bid so easily, but unfortunately, that Wang Zhelin can no longer come back. Now, the one who tops other bodies is an ordinary basketball fan who has just awakened his golden finger. In the first round, he lost to his opponent's experience, so he was not so frustrated. Because he is very clear that in terms of ability, he must be stronger than the other party, but in terms of experience, that thing takes time. However, he is still full of confidence in the victory. Even though the opponent has a strength rating of 53, it is only 3 points lower than himself. However, the CBA foreign aid level and the superstar level are 2 levels after all. There is a difference of 3 points. Do not. This is the confidence that every hanging bee should have. Continue. After picking up the ball, Wang Zhelin passed it to McDonald. Humph. Seeing that the opponent's emotions did not show a tendency to lose, McDonald knew that his calculations had failed, and after receiving the ball, he stood back outside the three-point line. In the face of his own provocation, this young and somewhat excessive boy was able to maintain such a good mentality. It's not easy. Episode 12. Maximize the value of fans. Old guy, you'd better pray that you can make all the next shots, otherwise, I can guarantee that you won't have any chance to touch the ball again, anytime. Wang Zhelin spread his arms and stared very seriously at the basketball in McDonald's hand. Hee, who can't talk big? You'd better defend this ball first. Although he kept shouting, McDonald's heart almost sank to the bottom. He had a hunch that the boy in front of him was coming for real. The most important thing is that the ball he just scored was not as easy as it seemed. This Wang Zhelin was almost able to cover him just now, and the 2 pairs of long arms that were constantly waving in front of him made him a little suffocated. When Wang Zhelin failed to defend against McDonald's first attack, worry appeared on his father Wang Changhai's face again. Zhelin has some abilities, but after all, he's only 17 years old, so he lacks experience. Wu Bolin was also a little worried. Tom Bruce also expressed his opinion in a timely manner. Yes, how can you say that McDonald is also a high-quality center who can contribute 15.0 points and 4.8 rebounds per game in the EuroLeague, where the basketball atmosphere and players' overall ability are still better than the CBA league? Much stronger. Little Wang, I really want to take care of you. The people around you said every word to me, which made Wang Changhai's heart suddenly cool. Okay, everyone, don't worry about it. Seeing that many people around him had gradually turned pessimistic about Wang Zhelin, Ma Baolian, who was the first to discover Wang Zhelin's potential, stood up and supported his disciple. Although Zhelin's experience does seem too immature in front of McDonald, don't forget that when it comes to the court, the player's hard power is king. Even if the experience can be a temporary danger, it will not last long. I believe him can use his own strength to overcome the experience gap between the two. Ma Baolian's words shocked everyone's mood, but after that, Wang Zhelin was still not very optimistic. As Tom Bruce said just now, the EuroLeague is indeed stronger than the CBA, and McDonald, who can get 15 plus 4 in that level of league, is definitely not to be underestimated. At the time when the discussion about this kind of person was intense, the second offensive round belonging to McDonald had already begun. He originally wanted to repeat the old trick, but in the face of Wang Zhelin, who had completely put aside his contempt, this attack became very constipated. Although he forced the shot at the last moment, the goddess of luck did not stand behind him, and the basketball bounced into the frame. Out. McDonald was guarded for almost 14 seconds and violated the rule. He felt very uncomfortable. He threw the ball to Wang Zhelin. It's your turn. Then you should pay attention. After receiving the ball outside the three-point line at the top of the arc, Wang Zhelin's strong desire to fight was about to burst out. McDonald didn't answer, but stood up and took a defensive posture. Wang Zhelin moved the ball sideways to a 45-degree angle to the left of the three-point line, and then slowly moved the ball inward. Soon, McDonald resisted Wang Zhelin hard. He knew that he had to do his best to defend the 17-year-old young man. If he lost, what face would he have to return to Europe and face his fathers and villagers? Oh, it's quite hard work. But it's not enough. After feeling the power coming from behind, Wang Zhelin's smile gradually changed. He saw his muscular buttocks up and slammed into McDonald behind him. Although the latter was ready, he still couldn't imagine it. This is from the firmness of a 17-year-old boy, and his feet softened when he was hit. Taking this opportunity, Wang Zhelin turned to the right with his right foot as the axis, and he came to the penalty area in 2 big steps. What? McDonald, who was forced to put his hands on his knees and stabilize his body, could only watch Wang Zhelin rush into the penalty area and succeed in a dunk. Although the latter's jumping height was gratifying, don't care so much, just roar. If that's all you have, then I can tell you very clearly, game over. After landing, Wang Zhelin raised his index finger and shook it rhythmically, slowly passing by McDonald. After just 5 minutes, the PK was over. 1-10. Wang Zhelin fulfilled what he said. He did not give McDonald any chance to touch the ball again. For McDonald, this PK was a destructive experience. He didn't even remember how he left the arena. Of course, this is no longer important. The important Wang Zhelin is about to sign a contract with the Fujian Xuanxing men's basketball team. The current signing rules of the CBA League are as follows. When signing a new contract, each club must act in accordance with the standard version of the domestic player employment contract. Under the new framework, the contracts of domestic players are divided into Category A, Rookie Contract, Category B, Protection Contract, Category C, Regular Contract, Class D, Max Contract, and Class E, Veteran Contract. Wang Zhelin, on the other hand, fully meets the requirements of the Class A Rookie Contract. Regarding this A-type contract, we can take out the NBA's rookie contract to help understand it. According to the regulations, the players trained by the CBA club's youth training will sign the A-type contract at the beginning when they enter the CBA league. When youth training players sign a Category A contract, they can sign a contract for a maximum of 4 years and a minimum of 1 year. In terms of salary and treatment, the annual salary of youth training players shall not be less than 120,000 yuan, and the guaranteed amount of new knowledge of players in the contract is 60%. At the same time, after the expiration of the A-type contract, the club has the exclusive right to sign the players. Type B contracts. Zhelin, how many years do you plan to sign a contract? Wang Zhelin was still in deep contemplation at this time. Could it be that the head coach Fan Bin was quite a bit the emperor is not in a hurry for the eunuch? Father Wang Changhai beside him. At first he opened his mouth, but in the end he said nothing and closed it again. In fact, in his heart, he prefers that his son can sign a 4-year contract with the Fujian men's basketball team. First, because Wang Zhelin is only 17 years old now, even if he signs a contract for 4 years, he will only be 21 after the contract is completed. The second is because there are too many unknown things in the future. Compared with every parent in the world, they want their son to have a stable life. But in the end, Wang Changhai chose to give up his own ideas, because after the exchange last night, he found that his son had begun to have an opinion, and now he prefers to listen to his son's ideas first. After being silent for a long time, Wang Zhelin raised his head and glanced at everyone, and finally said his decision: I want to sign for a year. Yu reading www.yuukaongshu.com. 1 year. What? Why? Not only Fan Bin and Fan Songlin beside him, but even his father Wang Changhai was surprised. I'm going to sign up for the 2012 NBA draft next year, so I just want to sign for 1 year. After a pause, Wang Zhelin ignored the complicated expressions of the people around him, and continued talking about his decision to himself. Zhelin, I can understand that you want to hit the NBA, but I remember the NBA's registration rules for international players. The minimum requirement is to meet the 19-year-old. Even if you are 18 next year, why can't you stay longer? How about a year to hone yourself? Wang Zhelin's mentor, Ma Baoyan, was the first to stand up and persuade him hard. Yes, Xiao Wang, you are still young. One more year of training is good for you. You must know that even Dao only entered the NBA at the age of 22. Yes, and Ailin only went there when he was around 20 or 21. Why are you in such a hurry? Someone started, and a large group of people followed. Although Wang Zhelin cares about himself from the bottom of his heart, only he knows that he has the veteran inheritance system, not to mention waiting for a year. I am afraid that when the CBA starts in November, his ability value will exceed 60 plus. What's the point of being a Dugu seeking defeat in the CBA league? Besides, if you want your ability to soar quickly, you need a large amount of fan value. In this critical period of Yao Ming's retirement and Yi Jianlian's precariousness in the NBA, nothing is more valuable than being the next Chinese local player to hit the NBA. Episode 13, I don't want you to think. Teacher, I'm different from them. Facing his teacher's persuasion, Wang Zhelin had to harden his heart to refuse. What Wang Zhelin said literally means that he who has a system has a higher upper limit than Yao Ming and Yi Jianlian. His growth rate is absolutely beyond everyone's imagination. But to others, these words just came from the frivolity that is unique to every passionate young man. After another half an hour, Wang Zhelin was still unable to convince this group of stubborn donkeys, and finally had to resort to a compromise. Otherwise, I will sign a one-year contract with the club first, and I will promise to bring you the Fujian men's basketball team to win the CBA championship next season. If I fail to do so, then I will sign a one-year contract. You guys, how does it look like this? That's okay, so let's do it first. Fan Bin wanted to persuade Wang Zhelin to do it a few years ago, but after seeing the latter's firm look that he couldn't refuse, he had to nod and agree, and turned his head to think. The latter said that winning the championship is indeed a bit too difficult. You must know that since the establishment of Fujian Xuanqing men's basketball team in 1999, in addition to realizing the double jump within 1 year of the 2002 to 2003 season, which has attracted the attention of the national basketball world, the path of the Xuanqing men's basketball team has been completely narrowed since then. To make a team that has not broken through the first round of the playoffs since its inception, reach the championship within a year and win the championship trophy, even if Yao Ming, who was in the Shark era, came here, don't even dare to pack a ticket. Zhelin, let me tell you the truth, is it too anxious to go to the NBA at the age of 18? Why can't you wait another year? Besides, you can't sign up at the age of 18, but Wu Bolin couldn't help but stepped forward and continued to persuade. Sister Bolin, I like to be reasonable. In the past, CBA was the League A and B. At that time, players liked to change their age, but they generally changed their age, but I changed it to a big one. They even changed 3 or 4 small. Any age is fine, I want to be 1 year older. For you guys, is it easy, difficult? You can just have your own measure. In the end, Wang Zhelin successfully signed a contract with Fujian Xuanqing Club. The initial contract model is 1+1, the pre-tax salary in the first year is 400,000 yuan, and the second year has the priority to renew the contract under the same conditions, that is, the salary standard rises to 20% or 30%, and the club will enjoy it exclusively. The right to renew the contract with the player. However, there is also a note at the bottom of this clause: if the player can lead Xuanqing Club to win the CBA championship in the 2011-12 season, the club will fully support him to enter the NBA. In addition, Wang Zhelin also has various incentive clauses. As long as the activation conditions are met, such as the best rookie of the CBA, the best lineup, the all-star selection, various data kings, or the regular season MVP, etc. Get more money outside the contract. Because in the plan of Wang Changhai and his wife, Wang Zhelin will not enter the CBA until he is an adult, so he has not been looking for a professional basketball agent for him. Previously, the signing of Wang Zhelin's basketball contract was handled by the two of them together. But since today, Wang Changhai has decided to find a professional agent for his son. After all, once he becomes a professional athlete, the twists and turns involved in it are not something he can sort out as a second hand, and he has to specialize in surgery. Who to look for? By the way, I heard that Lao Zhou has recently stepped down as the COO of Peak America, and is preparing to change his career as a basketball agent. He can even manage the operations of such a big company. Just a basketball agent, it should be more than enough. In an instant, Wang Changhai thought of an acquaintance of his who had studied sports management in the United States. He was fully capable of acting as his son's agent. Just when Wang Changhai and his wife fell into deep thought, Fan Songlin and others had gathered around Wang Zhelin, and they seemed to be chatting happily. Xiao Wang, welcome to join the Xuanqing men's basketball team. Fan Songlin, the captain of the Fujian men's basketball team, was overjoyed after seeing Wang Zhelin's strength. Brother Fan, from what you said, I know that I joined the men's basketball club at the age of 14. Ha ha ha, yes, we were born to be a family. Fan Songlin also reacted, rubbing his head embarrassedly. Okay, don't make fun of Songlin. Coach Fan Bin was relieved to see that his love would get along so well in this way. Zhelin, the start time of the CBA 2011-12 season has been determined to be November 19th. Although the schedule of the game has not yet come out, according to the past practice, the team should report to the team 2 weeks before the start of the game. That is said that on November 5th, the team's training will start. Knowing the coach, I will train hard in the next month or so, and I will not relax for a moment. I will show you a stronger me. Ha ha ha, okay, then I will definitely test you. Fan Bin replied with a smile. Wang Zhelin also saw that the other party didn't seem to have any confidence in him. After all, a month was too short. He didn't explain too much about this. What he has to do now is to quietly conceive, grow, and then amaze everyone. More than a month may be good enough for a class of basketball players to learn 1 or 2 skills. But for Wang Zhelin, time is his greatest asset. The longer the time, the better. O'Neill's ability to inherit the more. Right. Seemingly thinking of something, Wang Zhelin brought his mouth close to Fan Bin's ear with a smirk. That's not good. I always think it's a bit unkind. Having said that, he still noticed the eagerness on the coach's face, and then decided that the scientist possessed it. I don't want you to think, I want me to think. On the way back, Wang Changhai and his wife noticed their son's radiant smile, and his round head was full of big underscore. At 3:30 in the afternoon, Fujian Xuanqing Men's Club posted an announcement on the official websites of various popular social platforms such as their scarfs and bluffs. Welcome Wang Zhelin to join the Xuanqing men's basketball team. We will aim for the championship next season. Sure enough, no matter which media it is, the headline party's behavior can be said to be reckless. Many fans who know the strength distribution of CBA teams express their scorn. Let's pull it down, and you are aiming for the championship next season. Since the establishment of the Fujian men's basketball team, the team history has never broken through the first round. That's right, he's still a champion, his face. At the same time, a report on Wang Zhelin's physical fitness accidentally circulated wildly on the internet, with a link to an ultra-high-definition video at the end. When you click in, you can find that this is a 10-minute-long video of Wang Zhelin, a young player who just signed a contract in Fujian, and a strange black man. The content is extremely explosive. In an instant, Wang Zhelin did not say that he was popular on the internet, but at least the domestic basketball circle was completely swept away by him. Episode 14, the follow-up impact of the small video. The next morning at 7:30 noon. Wang Zhelin's family was having breakfast, but his father Wang Changhai was a little absent-minded and looked at Wang Zhelin frequently. Dad, what's wrong with you today? I don't even eat your favorite horseshoe cake. Wang Zhelin vaguely guessed that his father had something to say to himself. Zhelin, answer me honestly, did you ask Lao Fan to do this thing that has become very popular on the internet recently? Wang Changhai couldn't hold back his doubts and put down his chopsticks. I'm not. I don't. Don't talk nonsense. Wang Zhelin offered a set of 3 denials without thinking. Just kidding, Mr. Lu Sun, a famous Chinese writer, once said, go into the village quietly, don't shoot. After all, what he asked the club to do was a little disgraceful. At this time, in order to maintain the simple and tolerant image in his father's heart, how could he admit that he had done such a thing? Then why are you so nervous? Although Wang Changhai still had some doubts in his heart, he finally let go of Wang Zhelin's principle of be frank and be lenient and go to jail, resist being strict and go home for the new year. Suspicion. Yes, Zhelin is only 17 years old, he is still a child after all, how could he have come up with such a bad move? Alas, how can I doubt Zhelin, that guy Lao Fan must have done it. After a while, Wang Zhelin, who had a ghost in his heart, was about to finish all the food in his mouth. Dad, eat slowly, I'm going to the club for training. Well, pay attention to safety. Wang Changhai did not suspect him, and after casually dealing with it, he picked up his rice bowl again, and saw the mess on the table, and suddenly a black line appeared. What about my sauced beef? Where's my horseshoe cake? Damn, Zuchong Gymnasium. Zhelin, are you here so early today? Well, after all, I'm going to play the professional tournament in more than a month, time waits for no one. That's right, young people should endure more hardships, don't regret it when you get old. After a short chat with the doorman, Uncle Li, Wang Zhelin got into the gym's men's room. As soon as he came to the toilet, he found an unused pit, locked the door, sat down on the toilet, closed his eyes, and entered and turned on the system. Wang Zhelin first felt that he was in a dark and never-ending tunnel, but soon, he suddenly became enlightened. At this time, the white space was not very big, it was about the size of a classroom with about 50 people in the past, and there was a large square screen in front of him. Speaking of which, this is the first time he has taken the initiative to enter the system space seriously. The first time he was forced into the system, it doesn't matter whether he can bear it or not. But this time, after he took the initiative to experience it himself, don't say it, it feels quite novel. Of course, Wang Zhelin's entry into the system space this time naturally has his main purpose, system, call up the lottery panel and see how my current fan value changes. As soon as he finished speaking, the big screen in front of him suddenly flashed blue light, and then the whole screen lit up. The familiar whiteboard appeared again, and his eyes were quickly attracted by the string of numbers on the top right of the whiteboard. 54,188. Originally, after the bronze level lottery was conducted not long ago, his fans were only 4,588, but now they have suddenly increased by nearly 50,000. It seems that the short video was not released in vain. You must have tools to sacrifice people to the sky in exchange for the rise of the protagonist. Some writers of novels in my previous life will not deceive me. Donald, ITMD, thank you. Someone, you're welcome. Looking at 54,188 in front of him, Wang Zhelin fell into a deep tangle. Is it to continue the true nature of dog gambling and go for a brave fight, or to keep a hand and directly come to the silver level lottery when the fan value exceeds 100,000? In the end, reason still suppressed the dog's psychology, and he held back. Just like the rules of the system set, the upper limit of the bronze level lottery is there, and as time goes on, the bronze level players will only be less and less helpful to themselves. To put it bluntly, bronze players are only limited in strength. The last time he was able to draw Maris Spites, who has the ability to 58 three-pointers, was a big luck. He didn't think he would have such luck next time. Draw this kind of bronze player who can just make up for his shortcomings. Phew. Hold on for a while, the wind is calm. The bronze level lottery is so exciting, then when it comes to silver and gold, it won't take off. With the ambition to be a gambling dog, Wang Zhelin came out of the system space with a resolute look. Zhelin, why are you here? What a coincidence. Just as he opened the toilet door, Wang Zhelin met a teammate of his youth team. Zhang Wei, what a coincidence, why do I always meet you in the toilet? There's no way, I've eaten badly again, you go first, we'll talk later. Okay, then you squat slowly. After chatting for a few words, Wang Zhelin turned around and left, but after going out, he silently complained, damn, I love apartment honestly doesn't deceive me, no wonder the officials have complained, according to incomplete statistics, I have more than 20 people in my dynasty. One is a man called Zhang Wei. That's right, the inch-headed man in the white training suit just now, his name was Zhang Wei. Coincidentally, this guy also met in the toilet wearing himself. Of course, don't get me wrong, this Zhang Wei is not the other Zhang Wei, this guy is really Wang Zhelin's teammate in the provincial youth team, but he is a well-deserved genius, while Zhang Wei is just an ordinary substitute. The reason why Zhang Wei often appears in the toilet is because he is too gluttonous and often breaks his stomach from eating indiscriminately. Therefore, Wang Zhelin often sees him when he goes to the toilet. Soon, the goods came out of the toilet. Hey, Zhelin, why haven't you left yet? Oh, you reading www.yuukaongshu.com. I know, you must be waiting for me here. As expected of a good buddy, let's walk around, I'll treat you to dinner in the afternoon. Forgot to mention, this Zhang Wei is not only a chatter, but also has a senior brain-boosting ability. Looking at the guy in front of us whose mouth was crackling like a machine gun, we could only show an embarrassed but decent smile, okay, After the two of them appeared in the gym, many former teammates came to congratulate him on his promotion from the youth team to the provincial team. Zhelin, I used to know that you were strong, but I didn't expect you to be so strong that you actually beat McDonald from the Europa League. Passerby number 1 sighed. Yeah. Don't you know how popular your one-on-one video is on the internet now? It made me wet at that time. Are you wet? After hearing the words of passerby number 2, Wang Zhelin silently took 2 steps back. Although the words of passerby number 2 seem to be somewhat ambiguous, they are indeed the epitome of the heated discussion about Wang Zhelin on the internet. The 17-year-old talented domestic center easily defeated McDonald, the main center of the men's basketball team from the Spanish league Juventus, in a single. Recently, in the Chinese men's basketball world, there is almost no more exciting news than this. What? You said that McDonald was just an ordinary rotation center with an average of 15.3 points and 4.8 rebounds per game in the Spanish league. What about the main force? Just kidding, how can the shock department and netizen expression department of the major media in the Chinese dynasty get their names out of vain? A few pictures at the beginning, the content is all edited. What's more, this time it's not just a picture, but also a video. Episode 15, Contract Broker. Wang Zhelin also knew that as the incident continued to brew, the benefits to him would only increase. After all, in this special period, the Chinese men's basketball team desperately needs a booster. There is only one thing he needs to do now: wait. Waiting for a suitable time, waiting to prove his powerful strength in the face of the attention of all the people, then the more heated discussion at this time, the more fan value he can bring to him. Soon, more than 2 weeks have passed, and the heated discussion about Wang Zhelin has gradually faded away. After all, when it comes to grabbing popularity, there is nothing better than the entertainment industry. No, a certain singer is about to release a new song recently, a certain star is getting married or divorced, and some have children. But this time, for Wang Zhelin, it wasn't actually a bad thing. The blandness is only superficial. Right now, he is like a volcano that is brewing. Just waiting for the critical moment to come, he can instantly form a monstrous trend. For 2 weeks, Wang Zhelin was not in vain. Name: Wang Zhelin. Affiliated team: Fujian Men's Basketball Youth Team / Tianqiao National Men's Basketball Youth Team. Age: 17. Position: center. Height: 213 centimeters. Weight: 112 kilograms. Arm span: 228 centimeters. Standing touch height: 285 centimeters. Palm: 27.9 centimeters. Body hidden attributes: lower body strength, 72. Upper body strength, 67. Speed: 41. Power: 50. Agility: 52. Bounce: 45. Bullet speed: 45. Physical fitness: 50. Injury resistance: 64. Offensive ability: hits: 55. Layups: 68. Mid-range: 48. Long range: 58. Dunks: 57. Passes: 34. Ball possession: 50. Free throws: 55. Breakthrough: 33. Defensive ability: external defense: 26. Internal defense: 44. Rebounds: 44. Blocks: 48. Steals: 35. Overall rating: 58. CBA superstar. Evaluation: although he is young, he has huge potential. It is not recommended to enter the NBA at present, and he still needs a certain amount of time to hone. Talent skills: innate power, purple diamond. This talent allows the host to have max-level strength attributes through acquired training. Dunk Tianzuan, silver plus. After making physical contact with the opponent's player within 3 seconds, use your body to force a dunk to slam the dunk to slightly increase the success rate of the dunk. The 3 attributes of dunk, bounce, and bounce speed can all be increased by 4 points within 3 seconds. If the player completes the dunk, he will give teammates an inspirational effect and restores teammates' stamina by 5%. I don't know if it was because of O'Neal's influence that the free throw ability did not improve at all for 2 weeks, but the remaining 22 individual ability values all improved to varying degrees. The most obvious improvement is undoubtedly the 2 strength attributes in the hidden attributes of the body. Among them, the strength of the lower body has soared to 72 points, and the strength of the upper body has quickly exceeded 70 points. In his conjecture, the reason why the strength attribute can rise so fast, in addition to the original 92-point strength limit of O'Neal in his Twilight years, I am afraid that it is also inseparable from the blessing of the innate skill of natural power. Of course, it is inseparable from Wang Zhelin's own hard training. In the current CBA, apart from facing the bust that once knocked O'Neal down, he doesn't think anyone else can compare to him in terms of strength. Another thing is that Wang Zhelin always felt that the way he played recently was imitating O'Neal unconsciously, but he always felt that something was wrong, as if he had only learned form, but not God. He has a hunch that if one day he can learn the essence, the fusion efficiency of this O'Neal superstar card will be greatly improved. Perhaps he can find a breakthrough in this regard. At this moment, the voice of Mother Lin Huiqing came from outside. "Zhelin, haven't you come yet? The guests have arrived." Oh, it'll be ready soon. You said that your child is real. Has he had a bad stomach recently? Why do you go to the toilet at every turn? I'll tell you, if you really don't want to eat anything, you just don't listen. Hearing that his mother kept talking about himself while walking, Wang Zhelin also began to reflect, did he really go to the toilet too often during this time? It seems, there are indeed so many. With a hint of depression, Wang Zhelin still came out of the toilet. "Zhelin, let me introduce to you, this is Zhou Yang, a good friend of my father's back then, come over and call me Uncle Zhou." After seeing Wang Zhelin come out, his father Wang Chenghai enthusiastically introduced a middle-aged man sitting on the sofa to him. The man was dressed in a white shirt and dark blue jeans. At first glance, he looked average, but the friendly smile on his face always brought the relationship between the two people closer without knowing it. "Zhou Yang. Isn't this the agent I used to be in my previous life?" As soon as he saw the middle-aged man at first glance, Wang Zhelin was stunned for 0.0001 seconds, and then quickly reacted. It is this guy. In his last life, Wang Zhelin was successfully selected by the Grizzlies in the second round of the 2016 NBA draft with the 57th overall pick. Although Wang Zhelin did not log into the NBA in the end, this operation did make Zhou Yang famous and made him out of the circle. After all, at the draft conference that year, everyone in the Celestial dynasty focused on Zhou Qi, who was a high-profile candidate. As for Wang Zhelin, sorry, at that time no one thought he would be selected. Even Wang Zhelin exclaimed, "Unbelievable," during an interview after being selected. "Hello, Uncle Zhou. It seems that you are already a very remarkable person. You must know that my father rarely praises people like this." After getting to know the other party's quite professional business ability and his father seems to have a good relationship, Wang Zhelin's face immediately filled with smiles. Yu reading www.yuukaongshu.com. Oh, then I'm a little flattered. Zhou Yang also quickly stood up and held Wang Zhelin's hand. "Zhelin, is it okay to call you that?" "Certainly." "Okay, let's all sit down and talk. What are you talking about standing?" Yes, let's talk first, and I'll cut some fruit for you." Wang Zhelin and Zhou Yang gradually got to know each other after singing and reconciling with the father and mother. Slowly, Zhou Yang also revealed the purpose of his trip, and the king's father and mother also set their sights on his son. "Of course I don't have any opinion. It's a bit overkill for me to have an elite like you, Uncle Zhou, who served as the chief operating officer of Peak America Corporation as an agent for me." Wang Zhelin smiled and continued, "Also, I also believe in my mother's vision. How come? I see a great potential in you. I believe that you will become the next Yao Ming sooner or later. At that time, I will be worried that you will dislike me and not be qualified to be your agent." Completed 7, 7, 8, 8, and the strings in Zhou Yang's heart gradually let go. Because he firmly believes that the young man in front of him has unfathomable commercial value, and he is even more convinced that no one is more suitable to be his agent than himself. Is it Deo? Maybe, who knows in the future? Wang Zhelin smiled inexplicably after hearing Zhou Yang compared himself to Yao Ming. Oh. It seems that the young man in front of him is not satisfied with his ambition to be the next Yao Ming, and then he recalled the specific report about him that he had read before. Zhou Yang also laughed. Yes, who knows what will happen in the future? Episode 16, No One Knows O'Neill Better Than Me. Witnessed by his parents, Wang Zhelin and Zhou Yang formally signed a 3-year contract at home, in which the economic person's draw was 3.2%, which is very sincere. After all, he is still a rookie who can no longer be new. There are too many places in the early stage that require Mr. Zhou Yang's ability and connections. However, since he didn't know the details of the broker's contract, Wang Zhelin specially asked the system to test him to see if there were any twists and turns in the contract. Fortunately, he was very satisfied with the results detected by the system, which is why he dared to sign his name without finding a lawyer to test the contract. However, in Zhou Yang's view, it was the Wang Zhelin family's full trust in him, which also made him determined to do his best to bring rich rewards to him. "You treat me as a patriot, and I will repay it." He, Zhou Yang, is such a person. Just when Zhou Yang was caught up in his infinite imagination about the future, who knew that suddenly his eyes turned dark. "Uncle Zhou, come to my senses, I just have something to tell you." Seeing Zhou Yang who suddenly fell into a confused state, Wang Zhelin suddenly felt that his contract signing was a little hasty. "Ah. Oh, if you have anything to say, you can do it beautifully for you." This is the first request from the employer, and Zhou Yang is ready to go all out to complete it. In a black line. "Well, it doesn't need to be so serious. I just want you to help me find the game video of Shaquille O'Neal, the former first player in the NBA, or his training video or something." Can you do it? "Just, this is it?" Bai was excited. "Of course, I can help you find all the videos of O'Neal's career in a week at most, but the training videos are not so sure." "It's alright, in fact, you don't need to look for so much first. First, look for the video of O'Neal's games after the heat period. I want to study it." Wang Zhelin waved his hand, and like Zhou Yang put forward his own request scope. "If that's the case, then I will be able to deliver the relevant video to you within 3 days at most." Although Wang Zhelin didn't want to be at the peak of O'Neal, he was a little curious about the request to pursue the video of the old O'Neal game, but he finally held back. Own curiosity. Anyway, it will take a long time to come to Japan. When the relationship between the two of them gradually deepens, Wang Zhelin will take the initiative to tell himself the reason, so why should he be in such a hurry? "Okay, sorry to trouble you." 2 days later. The videotape about the games related to the late stage of O'Neal's career has already arrived in Wang Zhelin's hands. "I have to admit that my broker's business ability is indeed very strong. Looking at the box of game videos in front of him, Wang Zhelin immediately felt a heavy responsibility on his shoulders. Hundreds of G videos, you might as well kill me. After all, this is a video of a fat man, and he is not a teacher. After watching hundreds of G at once, he was worried that his little brother would leave a psychological shadow after watching it, and whether he would be able to stand up in the future. Well, the road is long and the road is long, I will go up and down to seek. At first, he thought of looking for O'Neal's game video, completely thinking of Kobe Bryant who had just entered the league when his teammate Fan Lunzi broke the news. Kobe took his Jordan's game video and never returned it. Since then, no matter how stubborn Kobe Bryant was, and he even once said that his idol was a magician, he could not change the impression that Kobe imitated Jordan in people's hearts. Of course, there is nothing shameful about learning from Jordan. At that time, many outsiders in the league learned from Jordan to play, but Kobe was the best. No one knows Jordan better than Kobe, and this sentence is not just talking. It is precisely because of this that Wang Zhelin suddenly thought of learning from Kobe's method, and then he found a lot of O'Neal's game videos. Sooner or later, I will proudly tell the world that no one knows O'Neal better than me. With the determination to succeed if you fail, Wang Zhelin opened the first videotape. Welcome to the world of the Shaquille O'Neal Cavaliers. The time quickly moved from mid-September to the end of October. In the past month, Wang Zhelin said that he had vomited, was tired of watching, and was tired of watching O'Neal's game video. But in the end, he still had to express his sincere respect to Mr. Wang Jingza, the great philosopher of the 21st century. Sure enough, another great essence of human beings is always really fragrant. After carefully observing the characteristics of O'Neal's gameplay in his Twilight years and the ingenious use of his body and strength through the videotape, it really made him sigh. Jiang is still old and hot. As early as around September 20th, the agent Zhou Yang had already obtained all the videos of O'Neal's career and handed them over to him. He also spent part of his time watching how O'Neal played at his peak, but it turned out that he had to watch the videotapes of O'Neal's games later in his career, which helped him the most for his inspiration and the fusion efficiency of his superstar cards. For him, the good news is that not only has his strength increased rapidly, but fortunately, his little brother is still well. The bad news, his shooting ability has seen a small dip. After asking the system, he realized that it turned out that his strength increased too fast, which led to changes in his shot strength, which affected his shooting ability and feel. In fact, this is also a common problem with big players. When a player has the two advantages of strong strength and large palms, usually their shooting ability is not much better. Its typical representative is the master of his physical fitness, Shaquille O'Neal. The representative of the guard is Rajon Rondo, who is known for his big hands. After all, not everyone can overcome the impact of strength and oversized hands on their own shots like James and Leonard. There are two solutions given by the system. One is that after the body has passed this run-in period, the shooting ability will recover naturally, but the recovery time is unknown. The other is to change the shooting hand type to fundamentally solve this problem. And he himself is more inclined to the second solution, because he can clearly feel that the original shooting posture has become unsuitable for him. Thinking about it too, the original self had a Tyrannosaurus Rex wingspan, and the strength was several levels worse than it is now. The shooting posture of Yu reading www.yuyukaongshu.com before can still adapt to the current self. Name, Wang Zhelin. Affiliated team, Fujin Men's Basketball Youth Team / Tianqiao National Men's Basketball Youth Team. Age, 17. Position, center. Height, 213 centimeters. Weight, 112 kilograms. Arm span, 228 centimeters. Standing touch height, 285 centimeters. Palm, 27.9 centimeters. Body hidden attributes. Lower body strength, 79. Upper body strength, 75. Speed, 43. Power, 52. Mid-range, 46. Long range, 54. Dunks, 60. I won't show it in detail, so as not to be told the number of words. Looking at the strength of the upper and lower limbs that was about to break through the 80 mark, Wang Zhelin felt extremely relieved. The films during this period were not in vain. At this time, he couldn't help but want to sing a song, "Brother, you have lost weight." In addition to being delighted, he also felt incomparably painful about the decline in his long-range and mid-range shooting abilities. Because according to the system, if he doesn't solve this problem as soon as possible, his shooting ability will continue to decline. Although it is said that because of the sudden increase in strength, his explosive power, layup, relying on hitting, dunking and other abilities have been improved to varying degrees, and the comprehensive score has reached 60, becoming an NBA fringe. But he still can't accept the fact that his shooting ability is declining. You must know that we are the protagonists. The protagonist of any book you have seen will decrease in strength instead of rising over time. This kind of situation definitely loses the face of the protagonist at some point, so let's be embarrassed. Episode 17, Straight Arm Jumper, Legacy of the God. From a professional point of view, such a professional thing, if you have to find a professional person to solve it. And where are the professionals? Coincidentally, there is a trainer from the United States in his own club. The so-called emergency medical treatment is the most appropriate description of the current Wang Zhelin. But don't tell me, Tom Bruce can get an annual salary of $360,000 a year, and he is the trainer of the Fujian Shuanqing men's basketball club. Naturally, he has two brushes. O.M.G. Looking at this handsome young man who had successfully lifted the 148 kilograms bench press for the fourth time, Tom Bruce's heart was already pounding. What kind of monster is this? He is only 17 years old, how did he do it? Moreover, he always felt that the young man in front of him seemed to be much stronger than the last time we met. This is unreasonable. Which one has such outstanding muscle-building effect? With full of doubts, he successfully watched Wang Zhelin's bench press performance. Not only him, but many onlookers around him, such as Coach Fan Bin, Fan Songlin, and the men's basketball team member Chihi, all slapped their tongues frequently. Xiao Wang's talent is quite explosive. Brother Fan talked to me not long ago. Our club has a very talented young man. I didn't believe it at the time, but now it seems that his reputation is well deserved. Also, have you noticed that Xiao Wang's physique is much stronger than playing the NBA All-Star game more than 2 months ago? It seems that he has worked hard in the world. Most of the members of the Fujian men's basketball team can say that they watched Wang Zhelin's rise from the youth team to this place step by step, and this made them even more shocked by the talent he showed. Fox blood, my God. It's hard to imagine that I saw a 17-year-old boy lift a 148 kilograms bench press in front of me, and it was 6 times. This world is so crazy. Actually, it's no wonder that Tom Bruce and Fan Songlin's expressions are so exaggerated. To know 148, just treat it as a bench press of 150 kilograms. This level of bench press is relatively rare in the NBA. Not to mention Shaquille O'Neal, Karl Malone, and Ben Wallace, who are bench pressing monsters above 190 kilograms. Let's just say that Dwight Howard, the current number 1 center in the league, showed his performance when he participated in the draft comprehensive trial. The bench press was 157 kilograms, which was a shock to the league at the time, and certainly more now. Besides, this league is no longer the period when the Sharks were in the past. At that time, facing the peak Sharks, basically every strong team that was aiming for the O'Brien Cup would be equipped with 1-2 meat shield centers. Of even more. In today's era of withering centers, the 148 kilograms bench press displayed by Wang Zhelin, who is only 17 years old, is shocking to the naked eye. King, I now understand a little bit about your current difficulties. It has been more than a month since Wang Zhelin's last physical test at the club, but the power of this kid in front of him has undergone drastic changes. No wonder his shooting ability has fluctuated. Now that he is ready to go to the NBA in the future, Wang Zhelin has naturally thought of a concise and domineering English name for himself. King. It just fits perfectly with his surname. Bruce, do you have a solution? Although he could see that Tom Bruce was making fun of himself, he must have an attitude of asking for help, and Wang Zhelin didn't care too much. And for the surprise of the coach and others, he was already prepared. If the strength attribute of 80 points is aimed at the first-class bench press level among NBA players, then he is only a thin line away from that level. Then you have found the right person, King. Although your situation is very rare in China, there are countless such examples in the United States. Having said this, Wang Zhelin noticed the irresistible pride on Tom Bruce's face. He can also understand this. After all, the United States is known as the basketball kingdom. There are too many talented people there, and among them, there is no shortage of strange flowers that have increased by 10 or 20 centimeters within a year. If I remember correctly, there was Michael Jordan, the basketball in the 1980s and 1990s, and then there were 3 pairs of strong men, Megatron and AD. These people are all representatives of secondary talent development. Therefore, he is not worried that his power surge will attract excessive attention, at least slicing or something is impossible. After all, this kind of secondary talent development is not common in the United States, but every year or every few years, there will always be 1 or 2 lucky people. King, in your situation, I recommend you practice straight arm shooting. Soon, Tom Bruce gave his plan. Straight arm shooting? Yes. It's a straight arm shot. Then Tom Bruce began to analyze the advantages and disadvantages of straight arm shooting for Wang Zhelin. First, the stability is high. Straight arm shooting only relies on the wrist for perspective action, so it can maintain the stereotype of the shooting posture to the greatest extent, thereby effectively improving the shooting rate. This can just make up for Wang Zhelin, who is in a period of crazy surge in power to a certain extent. Second, start high. As a big center with a height of 2.12 meters and a naked height of 2.16 meters in the future, if you have practiced straight arm shooting, you only need to pay a little attention to the opponent's help defense in the game. Basically, when facing single defense, there is no people can defend against him. Tom Bruce is still optimistic about whether Wang Zhelin can practice straight arm shooting skills. Speaking of which, I still have to thank Chairman Yao for making the Chinese players, especially the big men, famous all over the world for their excellent feel. There are advantages and disadvantages. The disadvantage of this shooting method is that the parabola is low, so it is not very suitable for long shots. The second is that when shooting in this way, the general takeoff height is not too high. After Tom Bruce thoroughly analyzed the advantages and disadvantages of straight arm shooting, the final choice depends on Wang Zhelin himself. After some serious thinking, Wang Zhelin decided to learn this straight arm shooting technique. Although it is said that there will be a three-point prosperous era in the small ball era, it is more of a carnival for perimeter players. As an inside player, it is impossible for me to pull to the outside to shoot three-pointers. After all, the main responsibility of the center is to guard the basket. Besides, Wang Zhelin doesn't think he needs to have any superb three-pointers. He thinks that he only needs to have the threat of open three-pointers. When a player has the power of a shark but doesn't want to storm the basket, but always wants to shoot a three-pointer, that's when he really picked up the sesame and lost the watermelon. Real mental retardation behavior. Congratulations, King, you made a wise choice. I hope it's the best, so when do we start practicing? I'm sorry, I can only help you to complete the fixed hand shape work in the early stage. For the in-depth teaching later, I can do nothing. Looking at Wang Zhelin with a thick face, Tom Bruce spread his hands helplessly. What? Are you kidding me? Just as Wang Zhelin was scolding his mother in his heart, Tom Bruce continued, actually, it's not that I can't teach you, but I suddenly found someone who is more suitable to teach you than me. Who? It's just that you, Hu Jian, keep talking to Godofwei, Liu Yudong. Although it has been a few years since he came to China, for some words that are deep, convoluted, and difficult to understand, Yu Kanshu www.yuyukangshu.com Tom both still have to be mixed with English. Uncle Liu? Yes. Why didn't I think of that? Although it felt a little awkward to hear the name of Liu Yudong, the war for the Chinese men's basketball team, from a foreigner, Wang Zhelin quickly reacted to this reminder. In the history of Chinese basketball, when it comes to the technique of straight arm shooting, the war Liu Yudong said that he was second, and absolutely no one said that he was the first. In domestic competitions, Liu Yudong relied on an unresolved straight arm mid-range shot, which was also called the CBA of the A-League at that time, and his three-point shooting ability was also very strong. He averaged 1.5 three-pointers per game in his career, and three-pointers were hit. The rate reached 43.5%. It's outrageous. In the international arena, Liu Yudong's performance in the international arena is quite different from the domestic arena due to my height disadvantage as a power forward and the impact of injuries. However, Liu Yudong, who is in a healthy state, still has the strength to fight in the international arena by virtue of his excellent straight-arm mid-range shot. In the World Championships in 1994 and the Olympic Games in 1996, Liu Yudong, the god of war, was the third scorer in the team with an average of 11.5 points, 4.2 rebounds, 8.6 points, and 4 rebounds per game. 8 and the top 8 in the Olympics. Later generations of basketball fans of the Celestial dynasty have always circulated such a sentence: the more time goes forward, the worse the picture quality is, the more powerful the Celestial men's basketball team will be. Leaving aside the teammate relationship between his father and Liu Yudong, the god of war, I am afraid that even the god of war himself has always hoped in his heart that someone would stand up and inherit his straight-arm jumper stunt. Therefore, after knowing that he had such a big man by his side, Wang Zhelin resolutely abandoned Tom Bruce and went straight to his Uncle Liu's house. Episode 18. Chow Guy's core position. What? Are you going to learn from me just to shoot? After learning of Wang Zhelin's intention, Liu Yudong first asked the specific reason, and agreed without hesitation after knowing the situation. In fact, for the older generation of basketball players like Liu Yudong with a glorious past, they don't want their stunts to disappear in the long history. It is rare now that there are juniors who are willing to learn his straight-arm shooting. He is still very happy. In the following time, Wang Zhelin's life was basically 3 o'clock every day. First, he went to the club to continue to squeeze his strength potential. Then he went to Liu Yudong's house to learn straight-arm jumper. At night, he went home to watch small films. Don't think too much, it's just some movies with fat men as the protagonists. Bruce, I didn't expect you to train in strength. Can't you see that you are quite versatile? No, only after in-depth communication with Tom Bruce during this period of time did he realize that people spend so much life. Although this guy's main job is still professional training in basketball skills, he is not too bad for other aspects of physical training such as physical strength, speed and agility. This is also Wang Zhelin's evaluation of it, a lot of flower life. What, you will make me feel embarrassed. Tom Bruce waved his hands again and again, but the smile on his face secretly indicated that he accepted Wang Zhelin's praise. Hatue. It seems that this guy has learned a lot of the essence of the culture of the Celestial Dynasty, and he is actually humble on the surface. Bruce, I don't understand. Since you have such high professional quality and ability, why don't you want to develop locally, but come to our country? In my opinion, a guy like you is more suitable to go to a top sports league like the NBA, where there is a lot of money waiting for you. Facing Wang Zhelin's question, Tom Blue's old smile disappeared quickly. There is a reason to stay, and there is a reason to come out. Wait, where have you heard this? Suddenly remembered, is this the classic line of the protagonist Tang Rin in the movie Detective Chinatown? Could it be because of feelings? Wang Zhelin asked tentatively. How do you know? Tom Bruce's pupils shrank, and he turned his head in disbelief. Is it because the woman you love betrayed you? King, you. Looking at Tom Bruce, who was shocked and speechless, Wang Zhelin also cried out in his heart, fuck. Xiqing is really talented. Not only did the movie successfully predict Bao Jiang's future, but now he has found a template in reality. In the end, under Wang Zhelin's hard pursuit, Tom Bruce finally opened his heart to him. For the specific ins and outs, you can refer to Tang Ren's experience. The difference is that Tom Bruce is much better than Tang Ren. Bruce. What should I know? I'm going to the NBA draft next year, why don't you come and be my personal trainer then? Yeah, extended version. How do you feel? King, to be honest, I've been living well in the Celestial Dynasty, and I don't want to. What, you promised me, that's great, thank you for your trust in me. After saying that, Wang Zhelin left dashingly and went straight to Liu Yudong's house. At this time, Tom Bruce, who was still in a mess in the wind, suddenly reacted. Oh no, did I say I promised him? Did I really promise him? Could it be that I really promised him? After another half month, the opening game of the CBA is approaching. During this period of time, after all, Wang Zhelin was unable to resist Wang Zhelin's soft and hard bubbles and bombardment, and Tom Bruce slowly accepted his identity as a quasi-personal trainer. In addition to this good news, there is another good news. His lower body strength has successfully broken through the 80th mark, while his shooting ability has not declined. Possibly, changing your shooting hand does help your shooting ability. Of course, it is not ruled out that Wang Zhelin is naturally more suitable for shooting with straight arms. Anyway, Liu Yudong has praised his learning speed more than once. November 18th at 3 p.m. In Zuchang Gymnasium, more than a dozen big men are swaying the sweat of their youth. Do, the game is over, the blue team wins. Your Majesty, you are too powerful. In fact, what Wang Zhelin is doing is the Team 5 vs 5 training game organized by head coach Fan Bin. The game is divided into two teams, red and blue. The game lasts 15 minutes. After the countdown ends, the team with the most points wins. It is worth mentioning that this is his third victory today. 28 points, 11 rebounds, and 8 blocks. This is the number Wang Zhelin played in these 15 minutes. It's not like the head coach Fan Bin has not tried to let Wang Zhelin take for substitutes and only play 5 main players. However, he found out, with excitement, that Zhelin is really too strong. He shouldn't say that he is in the CBA league now. As the main player of the Bai Rockets' 5 consecutive championships, Fan Bin has naturally seen Yao Ming's dominance of terror in the CBA period, especially in the last 2 seasons before going to the NBA. At that time, Yao Ming's dominance of terror in the CBA was no different from the dominance of Chamberlain in the NBA. And now, he was surprised to find that he actually saw the shadow of Yao Ming during the Sharks period in Wang Zhelin. King. You are really terrible. A character like you shouldn't appear in the CBA. Promise that the NBA is your stage. Syed Abbas, who was the power forward in the red team just now, has been desperately trying to double-team Wang Zhelin with his teammate Guolei, but the final result is all kinds of andons. Today is the 18th. The Fujian men's basketball team, collectively known as the Fujian Xuanzhou Bank men's basketball team, has been training for nearly 2 weeks. In the past 2 weeks, Wang Zhelin used his domineering strength to conquer all his teammates and made him the first tactical core of the team. Now his status in the team can definitely be described as the King of Heaven, Chao Gai. He raised his arms and the responders gathered. It was definitely not someone but Wang Zhelin, a scholar in white. And head coach Fan Bin's tactics are also very simple, directly copying the tactics of the Shanghai Sharks back then: use all means to hand over that basketball to Wang Zhelin. As a former Bai player who has seen Yao Ming's terrifying power, Fan Bin knows all too well what will happen to such a dominant big man once he receives the ball inside. You must know that the CBA league is based on the rules of FIBA, and one of the rules of FIBA is that there is no defense for 3 seconds. Yes, the FIBA rule is that there are only 3 seconds of attacking, and no 3 seconds of defense. And that's why, in the international arena, players who focus on breakthroughs will frequently fail, while big players are like a duck to water. Episode 19, Fried Basket Show. Clap clap clap. Okay, that's it for today's training. Come here first, I'm going to announce the starting list. After the game, Fan Bin gathered everyone around him with applause. The Fujian men's basketball team has a total of 12 players this season, and the starting 5 are as follows: Xie Yakai, Fan Songlin, Zhao Tailong, Syed Abbas and Wang Zhelin all have good shooting ability from positions 1 to 4, which can make opponents not dare to double-team the inside. Obviously, this lineup was created by Fan Bin in order to maximize Wang Zhelin's strength. The rest is the bench lineup led by foreign aide Anthony Robertson. Regarding the foreign aide U system, the current CBA foreign aide system adopts a 2-person for quarter 6-person system. When playing against the Bai team without foreign aide, it is a 2-person for quarter 5-person system. In other words, every CBA team except Bai team can register 2 foreign aides at the same time, and 4 quarters can count up to 6 players, for example, 1 in the first quarter and 1 in the second quarter, then 3. 4 quarters can use double foreign aide. At this time, it is not like the later generations. The team can only use 1-time foreign aide at the end of the quarter. Now many teams like to accumulate in the first and second quarters, until the third and fourth quarters. 2 at the same time. Although Anthony Robertson is definitely stronger than Fan Songlin, the latter is the captain and spiritual leader of the Fujian men's basketball team after all. After a few simple words of encouragement, Fan Bin dismissed everyone and asked everyone to go back to rest for 2 days to recharge their batteries for the first round match against Shandong men's basketball team on the evening of the 20th. At 19:15 on the evening of November 20th, 2011, Kyoto time, the first round of the CBA game started with passion. The Fujian Chuanzhou Bank men's basketball team will play against the Shaanxi Fengjiu Group men's basketball team at home. Fujian and Shaanxi men's basketball teams have faced each other 10 times in history, of which the Fujian team has a record of 6 wins and 10 losses and has a slight advantage. First, let's talk about the situation of the two teams. Due to injuries last season, Fujian pair's performance plummeted, ranking second to last in the regular season with 8 wins and 24 losses, and also let their opponents break into the playoffs record 4 times in a row, and it was interrupted. The Shaanxi team had 15 wins and 17 wins in the regular season last season and ranked 9th with a loss. It is a pity that they were rejected by them in the playoffs. This season, they have completed the replacement of old and new, and have made relatively large adjustments to the players. The goal of the season, of course, is to get back into the playoffs. At this time, there are still 15 minutes before the official start of the game, and the players of both teams are actively warming up. Although it is said that this is a contest between 2 belly teams, the domestic attention can only be said that it can never be compared to the top teams in Guangdong and Xinjiang, but fortunately, the basketball atmosphere in Fujian province is also famous. Well, it can be said to be among the best in the country. As the opening game of the Fujian men's basketball team this season, the Zuchang Gymnasium is already full of people, and many of them are cheering for the team. Is this a real professional basketball game? Is this the scene of the #1 basketball league in Asia? This atmosphere, this light, this voice that resounds through people's hearts. It was the first time he had ever seen such a big scene. This is just the CBA, so what about the NBA on the other side of the ocean? Such a strong atmosphere at the scene made Wang Zhelin feel enthusiastic and made him even more looking forward to the future NBA. He can now faintly feel a trembling from the depths of his soul. There is one word to describe this feeling, that is cool. Cool, cool, so cool. Zhelin, why are you still standing still? Why don't you warm up quickly? Seeing that Wang Zhelin also said that he was in a daze on the bench, Fan Songlin, the eldest brother, subconsciously thought that the young man in front of him was shocked by this big scene. After a big win, Wang Zhelin stood up from the bench and immediately attracted the attention of the audience. Wang Zhelin, who is 2.14 meters in height naked and 2.17 meters in height in shoes, is undoubtedly the tallest person in this arena. Coupled with his burly figure and the blue hairband on his head, he is blessed by various factors. It's hard not to be the prettiest boy in the scene. Wow, Dad, that man is so tall. Of course, he is our team just signed a big center this year. Dad, what is a center forward? The father and son sitting closer to the front were immediately attracted by Wang Zhelin's height. The members of the Shaanxi men's basketball team opposite saw Wang Zhelin coming to the court to warm up, and they couldn't help but cast their eyes. Wang Zhelin threw a few random at first, but he always felt a little monotonous. Brother Gua, come here. King, what's the matter? Although Anthony Robertson expressed some incomprehension about Wang Zhelin calling himself Gage, but out of respect for the strong, he trotted all the way. Man, don't you think that the atmosphere at the scene is not strong enough? After hearing Wang Zhelin's words, Anthony Robertson rolled his eyes and seemed to understand something. Oh, why don't we show our hands? Then, show your hands. Clap clap clap. The familiar voice sounded again, immediately attracting the attention of everyone in the Fujian team. Then everyone smiled at each other and walked to both sides of the court, leaving the basket to Robertson and Wang Zhelin who were about to perform. The abnormal behavior of the Fujian team was immediately discovered by the surrounding audience. What are they doing? Is it impossible? I'm going to deduct 2 at the beginning. Soon, Wang Zhelin told everyone, what was he going to do? Robertson, who was holding the ball in front, dribbled the ball slowly, and when he got near the three-point line, he suddenly accelerated and made a dashing play. At this moment, Wang Zhelin, who was following him, made a move. I saw him take 2 quick steps into the free throw line, bowed slightly, and jumped into the air with lightning speed. He raised his hands just to catch the rebounding basketball, and then vigorously blasted the basket. Boom! There was a loud bang, like a thunder on the ground, and the basket of the home stadium seemed to be unable to withstand Wang Zhelin's arrogance, and let out a tragic cry of creeping. Everyone present couldn't help but take a breath, not for anything else. Yu reading www.yuukaongshu.com is because of Wang Zhelin's violent deduction just now. Although Wang Zhelin's takeoff height was not that high, the terrifying power he just showed and the chilling and astonishing aura on his face made everyone feel unbelievable. Is this really a 17-year-old boy? This TM is a wild beast. In the next few minutes, Wang Zhelin showed off a few more dunks. Although his bounce was not high, he fully showed his power to the world. Don't mess with me. This is what he wants to say to the Shaanxi male basketball players opposite him. Gollum. Gollum. Shaanxi team's starting center, Shang Ping, who is only 2.05 meters tall, subconsciously touched his bald head after watching Wang Zhelin's frying performance. If he really played against the bull on the other side for an entire match, he didn't know if he would be able to go back to his hometown. Hey, monk, why are you still standing still? The game is about to start, we're going to shake hands before the game. Shaanxi team captain Duan Jiangpeng poked Shang Ping, who was still in a daze. Oh. When he came to the vicinity of the hoop and looked at Wang Zhelin, who was a little taller than himself, nearly a head, his mood, which was not very good, fell to the bottom. Hello, I'm Wang Zhelin. Hello, my name is Shang Ping. A low and extremely magnetic voice came from above. Shang Ping looked up and found that this person was Wang Zhelin. Nice to meet you. My friends usually call me and, Just when Shang Ping was about to communicate in depth, he found that the other party had turned away and left him with a big back of his head. Gone. This young man. Episode 20, Relentless Capping. Since this is a contest between 2 belly teams, CBA officials don't pay much attention to this game, and the commentators sent are mainly newcomers. But even so, one of the commentators attracted the attention of a lot of spectators and players as soon as he appeared. This person is Li Nan, who transformed into a basketball commentator after retiring in 2009. Li Nan, who was on the commentary seat for the first time, gradually became an excellent commentator in the minds of fans because of his serious attitude and high professional level, as well as being good at using his professional experience to explain the game situation and giving the audience a more intuitive feeling. Member. Director Li, what do you think of the opening dunks of Fujian men's basketball player Wang Zhelin? The people of the Celestial Dynasty know the truth of matching men and women. Work is not tiring, so Li Nan's partner is Zhang Ku, a 22-year-old beautiful commentator. It seems that CBA officials have long known how to master the viewing password. Zhang Ku, who was born as a model, is naturally very aware of her identity as Li, so she took the lead in raising the question. Well, on the surface, Wang Zhelin's dunks are very exciting. I think everyone has just passed his dunks just now, and can clearly see the powerful force contained in this teenager. And from a deeper level, I think Wang Zhelin is standing up. At this moment, Li Nan consciously paused for a while. Zhang Ke quickly reacted, with watery eyes, looking at Li Nan with doubts on his face, thinking very much about an innocent girl who is ignorant and needs protection very much. Close up, the photographer quickly took a close-up and shot me with her head. When the chief director sitting directly in front of the two saw this scene, his eyes suddenly lit up. Oh, Li Wei? That's right, it's Li Wei. After all, Wang Zhelin is the youngest player on the field. He needs to show his presence in this way, and the result is obvious, he succeeded. Oh, I was really taught. I didn't expect these seemingly ordinary dunks to have so many ways. In the chat between the two commentators, the game is about to start. Fujian team starting, Xia Yakai, Gong Songlin, Zhao Tailong, Abbas and Wang Zhelin. Shangxi team starting, LV Xiaoming, Duan Jiangping, Zhang Shuwen, Charles Dennis and Xiangping. During the warm-up, Wang Zhelin detected the strength of the opponent's players through the system. The Shangxi team has the highest overall score. Naturally, there are two foreign aides. They are Charles Dennis, who has a score of 54 and focuses on the power forward position, and Marcus Williams, who has a score of 57 and focuses on the swingman. One of these two guys is normal. The strength of foreign aid, and the other is the CBA superstar level. Apart from these two people, none of the Shangxi team has a comprehensive rating of over 50, and even their captain Duan Jiangpeng only has a strength rating of 48. But unfortunately, the Shangxi team in front of them was doomed to fail from the very beginning. As their opponent, the strength of Wang Zhelin, the new core of Fujian men's basketball team, is far from what they imagined. As early as the end of October, his comprehensive rating had exceeded 60, and he had the strength to become an NBA fringe. At this time, his lower body strength has exceeded 80, and his upper body strength has also reached 78, which makes his comprehensive score skyrocket. 3 points. A comprehensive score of 63. This is the confidence of Wang Zhelin's disdain for the CBA heroes now. We are a quasi-Twilight shark who can shoot, so I ask you if you are afraid? Toot. With the referee's whistle, the game began. The centers of both sides started to jump the ball. With his impressive height, Wang Zhelin easily raised a palm, and the right to open the ball fell firmly into the hands of the Fujian team. The people from the Shangxi team also seemed to be ready to lose the jump ball, and turned back to the defensive position without hesitation. Just as his player Zhao Tailong just received the ball and started to advance, Wang Zhelin, who had just landed, suddenly accelerated and ran to the front court. The familiar tactical moves made Zhao Tailong quickly glance at Wang Zhelin, who was moving in from the bottom line. At this moment, Wang Zhelin was raising his right hand and pointing to the sky. Although it was only a 2-week training camp, the tacit understanding among his teammates had already begun to bear fruit. Zhao Tailong instantly understood. As soon as he reached the top of the arc 1 step ahead of the 3-point line, the basketball flew straight out of his hands. Everyone's eyes were immediately attracted by this leaping orange basketball, which was. A pair of strong hands appeared on the edge of the basket, stably caught the basketball in mid-air, and smashed the ball into the basket with the momentum of smashing Huashan. The gorgeous all-around relay instantly ignited the audience. 2 o'clock. Wow, the morale of the Fujian team is very strong. There was an alley-oop at the beginning of the game. They were declaring to their opponents that they were bound to win this game. Although it is Lui, since he can become a professional commentator, Zhang Ke still has some professional qualities. He knows when to be cute, when to be serious, and when to tease the male audience in front of the TV. That's right, the Fujian team overwhelmed people at the beginning of the game, and now it's up to the Shangxi team to fight back. If not, then the situation is a little worse. Good pass. Wang Zhelin and Zhao Tailong gave high fives, then quickly returned to defense. Lu, give me the ball and I'll return one. All of the Shangxi team members were stunned when they were suddenly done this, but what followed was uncontrollable indignation. As a foreign aide, Charles Dennis, who believes that his strength is far superior to the Chinese players, is usually arrogant and arrogant, of course he can't take this anger. This. Lu Xiaoming couldn't make up his mind for a while, and looked at the captain Duan Jiangpeng with some confusion. Give him. Duan Jiangpeng just replied with a face like water, and then ran directly to the scene. However, the pair of clenched fists hinted that he was deeply unwilling in his heart. He could be unwilling or so, who made his strength inferior to others. And this is also a microcosm of today's CBA league, except for the Bai team that resolutely does not use foreign aid, and the Guangdong team with the 7-8 combination of Wang Qi and Zhu Ba. All other teams are extremely dependent on the strength of foreign aid. This has caused the players of all CBA teams to be concentrated in the hands of foreign aid, making it difficult for young players to exercise. No wonder Yu reading www. In the future, UUKeongshu.com chairman Yao will impose various restrictions on the foreign aid system. With a ball in hand, I have the world. This is the surging mood of Charles Dennis at this time. He was only a nobody in the EuroLeague, but in the CBA he was able to call the wind and call the storm, which made him feel a kind of morbid pride. As soon as he got to the front court, he signaled his teammates to pull away. He wanted to single against Zhao Tailong in front of him. Zhao Tailong, who only had a score of 44, was obviously unable to defend against Charles Dennis, who was one level higher than him. The latter feinted to attack from the left and smashed to the right, and directly caught him off guard. Is this the defense of Chinese players? No woman has brought me as much defensive pressure. Hearing the ruthless ridicule in his ears, Zhao Tailong clenched his fists angrily, bit his lip, and chased after him with firm and powerful steps. All needless struggle. Although he felt someone attacking from behind, Charles Dennis was not afraid and set his eyes on the basket not far ahead. At this moment, apart from dunking, there should be nothing more able to release the anger in Charles Dennis. This ball, I deducted it. But at this moment, the big yellow slap suddenly appeared. Between Charles Dennis and the Fujian team's basket, it was like an endless net, imprisoning him in it. This. Charles Dennis was in a trance, and the basketball in his hand had already disappeared. He turned around and saw that at some point, the basketball had appeared in the hands of a giant as tall as an iron tower. Obviously, the dunk he was determined to win was blocked, or in a way that extremely humiliated the opponent's confidence. Grab the hat.